It's the talk station, AM 1500, KSTP 1119 with Preble and Murphy, and Kelly Webb filling in for Preble today at 651-646-8255, 877-615-1500. Sean will be back on Monday at AM1500.com. That's the first time I think I've called him Sean in 2 years. Anyway, we're talking about...
Maybe he's out looking for Bigfoot.
He could be. That might be what... Maybe he just, through that 9th or 10th Guinness, he's like, I'm going to get that Bigfoot.
I'm going to get Bigfoot.
Yeah, right. And then he had his girlfriend drive him up to Bemidji and drop him off, which she gladly did. But we are talking about Bigfoot specifically, and what happened was earlier, as we mentioned, we were in the midst of contacting the group that was mentioned in the story on Bigfoot today, of the spotting in Bemidji that was in the Star Tribune. We were trying to contact the group that was quoted in the article, and there was a similar sounding group. And when we contacted that similar sounding group, we got Tim Seifert, who's on the line, and he totally debunked the photo that was put in the Bemidji thing. So let's bring Tim to center stage here. Tim is a Bigfoot expert. Tim, good morning to you. First of all, tell us your background in chasing Bigfoot.
Sure. Me and a few folks met each other on some Bigfoot forums and whatnot, and brought about our own organization called Squatch Inc. Our websites are MinnesotaBigfoot.com and WisconsinBigfoot.com, and we kind of specialize in looking for Bigfoot in the states of Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Okay, so you do keep your site to a geographic area. You haven't gone up in the Pacific Northwest where Bigfoot has traditionally been?
No, we haven't. We've done some expeditions out of the state in Kentucky and Ohio and whatnot, but we specialize in Minnesota and Wisconsin.
The picture is up at am1500.com right now, and you can see what was captured on the camera of a landowner up in Bemidji. First of all, you think the photo is not authentic?
No, not at all.
Okay, and why?
Well, if you look at the photo, you can see obvious flaws in the photo, which I sent you the details of those flaws in an email to you, and I know that your listeners probably can't see that, but a few of the obvious flaws to me is anyone who studies Bigfoot and researches Bigfoot knows the anatomy of Bigfoot, and that is that the animal has a longer upper body, longer arms, shorter legs, no neck, things like that. In this photo, you can obviously see that the anatomy of the figure is that of a human, being long legs like a person, arms that come down to mid-thigh, large head. I mean, it just looks like a man in a costume. And some other obvious things are it's hiding its face from the camera, which could be a plastic mask if it's a gorilla costume. Everything about it just screams hoax, if you ask me.
Well, what do you base the real Bigfoot on? I mean, do we got evidence that it is a creature with no neck, long arms, and long torso?
You know what? There is no concrete evidence out there. Basically, the scientific community has not accepted that this animal might be real. The best evidence probably to date is the Patterson-Gimli film that was filmed in 1967, I believe. That could be wrong, but no one to this date can debunk that film. And that's probably the authentic creature and maybe one of the only films or photos of the creature. And in that film, you can see that, and I sent Jason a comparison photo of that animal next to this animal, almost in a similar posture, and you can see the length of the arms is longer in the Patterson-Gimli photo. You can see that there's obvious muscle definition. You can see that the skin is close up tight to the animal, not baggy and sagging like it would be in a costume. You can see obvious muscle definition. You can see that the arms, the anatomy of the animal is much different than a human. Like I said, long arms, etc., broad shoulders, tapering at the waist. All these things are characteristics of hundreds of Bigfoot sightings that have been recorded all across the United States. You can go to BFRO.net and you can read about hundreds of authentic reports from police officers, postmen, people that work in the Department of Natural Resources that have seen these things, and all the characteristics line up with that type of anatomy. this photo of this man in a suit does not line up with that at all. Not to mention there's no other evidence to, like, footprints or anything else that has further implication.
Tim, we're going to get that photo up on the website pretty soon at am1500.com. We got him doing 18 different things, but he's going to get that up, within the hour, so listeners will be able to take a look at that. In your travels of tracking Bigfoot and going over Minnesota and Wisconsin, how close have you come to an actual sighting?
While looking for Bigfoot, I believe that one night, another researcher and I, Brian, when we were investigating a recent authentic sighting that had been reported here in northern Minnesota, while we were doing a scouting mission of the area, we think that at night one came into our camp. He laid awake at night, heard footsteps approach the tent. Something took a big sniff of the tent, walked around the tent with bipedal footsteps, walked over to the fireplace, or to the fire that was going, moved a few cups around on the table. We have all this on audio recording. That's the closest we've come. Other than that, when I was a wildlife internship, doing my college internship out in West Virginia in the Appalachian Mountains, I had multiple encounters that can all be read about on my journal on our website. But I never saw a creature, but all the things that happened to me were very similar to what other people have reported, such as being stalked by an animal, being bluff charged by an animal, hearing characteristic whooping sounds that basically can only be made from an animal that can make such a sound. And these are all live recordings that have been, recorded as authentic Bigfoot. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. I didn't see the animal, so that's as close as I've come.
This is Tim Seifert. He's with Squatch Inc. at AM 1500 KSTP. Tim Seifert, and we were asking him about tracking Bigfoot. It was interesting because we were chasing down an expert after we heard about this picture, this photo that arose out of Bemidji, that a story about Bigfoot being there, and you can take a look at that particular photo at am1500.com, and then we'll have the comparison photos up here momentarily. But in the meantime, Tim, as we contacted, wasn't with the group that was part of this, and he said it's a complete myth, that photo that you saw in the paper today.
My thing is, if it is a Bigfoot, how come nobody's found like hair samples or some evidence? You got the CSI type stuff that you could actually get hair samples, or like I said, fecal matter, something that will be left behind. Do we have any evidence of that?